Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not.
I'm very excited to have NBA vet Corey Brewer on the podcast today. Corey, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you're staying safe and staying cool. You know, it's hot out here right now in these summer streets. But you're out of the bubble now, so you've been in the heat in Florida for a while. What's it like to be home, be free of the bubble?
Oh man, it's great actually. I just got to come home and see my family. You know, my wife, my little boys. I just had a baby. He's 5 months. So, you know, a 6-year-old and a 5-month-old. It was great to come home and see those guys.
What is that like being in the bubble? Congratulations, by the way. Being away from your family. You know, for me, when the bubble first, like, the idea first came about, my concern initially was with the younger guys. Like, you know, how are they going to be able to chill for, a couple months? But, we had been in the pandemic for a few months at that point. So everyone was kind of starting to get used to, quarantine. But for guys like you that have a wife and kids, like that's a whole nother level of stress that, like, being away from them, it's kind of unprecedented because it's not like that during the season.
Yeah, that was the toughest part of the bubble, to be honest. The bubble wasn't too bad. The first couple of days, once you go to quarantine, you have to stay in your room. But after that, you can move around a little bit. You can go downstairs, restaurants. They have stuff for us to do. Went bowling a couple times, went fishing. So you actually have some things to do. But the aspect of not seeing your family, that was the toughest part for me. I think for all those older guys, people that have family, that was the tough part because you can only basically FaceTime. So I spent a lot of time FaceTiming, and that's kind of what got me through it.
What is it like? Like, is it like being just away at, like, basketball camp? Does it really feel like you're just living at work? Because, like you said, there's fishing, there's bowling, there's, like, restaurants, but we have no concept of, like, what this is like. Is this like living on a resort?
It's like being at a basketball camp. I feel like it's like being at a summer camp. Like, you basically just play basketball. You go back to your room. Guys play video games, but you're always with your teammates. Like, you usually eat with your teammates. It's just basketball camp, man. Like, it's like a bunch of older guys at basketball camp, just playing basketball and hanging out. Because that's all you can really do.
Would you say that it's brought teams a lot closer, or are guys kind of starting to kind of pick at each other?
Nah, for sure. I think it brings you closer just because you're around guys and you actually start hanging out with guys you normally wouldn't hang out with, I'd say. Like, so you're hanging out with all your teammates, so you get to know everybody on your team. So I think it makes teams closer because you get to know the best player to the worst player because you're all together. You get to know everybody, even the coaches. You start being cool with your coaches because you see them a lot. So everybody's starting to. I think everybody gets closer.
What were you most apprehensive about, other than obviously being away from your family going into the bubble?
I just didn't know how safe it was going to be. At first I was kind of like, am I really going to leave my family? I just had a baby and get COVID, because COVID is running rapid. It's all over the place right now. And I live in Houston, so it was really bad in Houston for a while. So I was nervous about could I contract COVID. But once I got there and all the precautions the NBA was taking and everything that's done, like, I felt safe. So it kind of put me at ease.
What's it like actually during games on the court? Because I had no idea what to expect. I felt like, I don't know, I guess I imagined there'd be like giant curtains or something like covering the stands, but I didn't know what to visually imagine it was going to look like. But honestly, after the first game, it kind of looked like a video game-ish, the first game. And then I totally got used to it. And now it's like a new normal. Like, obviously, once the fans get back, we'll all snap back into it. But it really doesn't bother me aesthetically at all to watch the games. And with the crowd noise, it's easy to consume from my end as a viewer. So what is it like there? Does it feel like a regular game? Obviously, like, taking the fans out of it, do you get used to it?
At first, it was weird at first. Just because, we've always played with fans. It was different once you got out there. But I think the NBA and everybody did a good job. Like, once they put the virtual fans, it kind of made it it was kind of cool. You could see people. And then once you start playing, you get in basketball mode. Like, when you're out there on the court, you kind of forget that there's no fans because you're really engaged and you're trying to win a game. You're trying to follow the scouting report. You're trying to do all the right things. And the biggest thing is you just can hear. You can hear the coaches talk and you can hear the players talk more. So the game kind of gets a little little easier, but it's a little harder if you're offensively because defensive guys kind of hear calls now. But after the first couple of games, I kind of think it was good that we had preseason games, I guess you could say, or scrimmages. Because after the first couple of games, I think guys kind of locked in, and it is what it is. You get to play basketball.
Now, it's been kind of crazy, some of the offensive performances that we've seen. Like you mentioned, the defensive guys can hear the calls, but there's been some people going off in the bubble. Now, I have a theory, so I want to ask you about it. Because this always happens with the NCAA tournament. Once they get into, the Final Four, they're playing in these huge stadiums, and the depth perception changes. So my theory is, obviously they're great, amazing players, right? But they are having some pretty crazy numbers. Is there something to, you're playing in a smaller gym, you don't have fans behind the basket, you're playing in the same exact gym over and over again, that the depth perception for the basket is changing? Am I crazy?
Nah, yeah, I totally agree with you. When you're in a smaller gym, things, you see everything. It's a little easier. It's just like when you're in a high school gym. Like, you can go shoot in a high school gym. I can go shoot in a high school gym and feel like I can't miss. And then when you get in a bigger arena, it's kind of like, whoa, it changes. And there's no fans, so there's no distractions. You're just really out there playing basketball like you're in the gym by yourself. So I think guys really, it's easier for guys to lock in depth perception. It's a lot easier. And you're playing in the same gym all the time. It's like being at home every game. You got a home game. So if you play well at home, now the game, you just get used to it. And guys are getting hot. Jamal Murray has been amazing in these playoffs. He's going 40 and 50 every night. Nobody's seen that coming. You got a guy like T.J. Warren goes for 50. The basket is big for some of these guys. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I thought that might have something to do with it, because I'm like, you know what? This is a very different experience for them, but you get in your little LA Fitness that you're at every week. You just be thinking you can put it in from anywhere, but it's a familiarity that you get used to. There is no home court advantage, but in a weird way. I mean, we've had games Donovan Mitchell go for 50, Jamal Murray go for 40, vice versa. These guys are going off, and I think it's a little bit to your point also. You're playing in the same gym.
You're in the same gym. You get comfortable. You can get to your spots. You shooting the same shots over and over. These guys are superstars. Come on,
yeah,
guys are getting 30 and 40 in regular. Now it's when they see a couple go in, it's the gym's smaller, the basket gets bigger. And when a guy gets hot, now, you can't, it's tough to stop guys in the NBA now. Man, if a guy gets hot, they're shooting from half court, basically. Dame was shooting from half court. Come on, man. This stuff is, basketball is getting crazy when it comes to that.
Yeah, is there anything from the bubble that you'd like to see them keep?
Man, I wouldn't say it's, I enjoy my time, but you want to be in front of your fans. You want that real basketball feeling that you're used to. So, but
no, I mean, there's still a lot of things they tried. Obviously, some different camera angles. I actually think that the virtual fans is kind of cool. I don't know where they would put that in an arena with regular fans, but I think it's a cool thing because a lot of people can't actually go to games. Obviously, fans are a huge part of the game, as we know, but most people watch the game on TV. So I thought that was a cool element. Obviously, the social justice, names being on the back of the jerseys. There's little things that they added that I think they could, keep when everything gets back to normal. Let's bring the fans back, though, for sure.
Yeah, sure. But I definitely think we should keep the social justice stuff. Just keep the movement going and keep doing what we're doing to show awareness to everybody. Because we have a huge platform, and we're the NBA. Guys watch the NBA all over the world. So we're really shedding light on what's going on.
So let's pivot to that for a second. There, obviously, the Bucks protested the game, and then there was a moment where there was a talk about possibly canceling the season. Was there a point where you felt like the season is definitely going to be they're going to stop playing?
I never thought the season was going to stop, just because the platform's too big right now. Everybody's watching the playoffs. People are watching the playoffs. If we stop, how you can still go. We can go to our social media and try to get our message out there. You could protest, but there's nothing like people watching the game and they see you talking, or they see a commercial, or they just see what we're trying to do to get our message out there. I think it's better if those guys play, and the message is going to really be heard.
Yeah, I agree. I was glad that the season did not stop. I think that the platform that the NBA has is massive right now. And, to all the people who are saying like, oh, the ratings are down or nobody's watching the NBA, like, okay. Like I'm very much in the camp of if you don't watch the NBA, you don't watch the NBA, right? Like some people some people don't watch hockey, whatever. That's fine. That's your preference. But if you are an NBA fan, you're watching the NBA. Like, I'm sorry, there's no replacement for that. I'm not trying to hear it. And you are obviously watching because nobody complains about things they don't do. Like, I don't complain about badminton because I don't play badminton. Like, I don't watch it. So why it's not affecting me if whatever they do, like, great, I don't watch it. You're obviously watching. That's why you're upset about it if that's what's triggering you.
Oh, for sure. People are definitely watching. And also, people got to understand, we had to play games at like noon, at 1 o'clock. So it was a totally different times. Like, so people were actually at work. So ratings probably were down a little bit. But now once like playoffs are starting and getting back to normal, these 8 o'clock games, 7 o'clock games, people are going to be watching basketball. So they can say whatever they want about the ratings. And like you said, if you watch basketball, you're watching it. You're watching the NBA. Like,
Yeah,
people
we don't believe you. You're watching basketball. But that said, there's like a heaviness around the country right now, obviously with everything that's going on with the pandemic, and then of course the movement. We're all talking and having these really hard conversations, and for the Black community, it can be very heavy and tiring and exhausting and saddening. And then we're seeing these things on television and we're seeing them on social media and we're losing people in the community. It's a lot. So that for a regular person who's not in the bubble is stressful. What is it like for you guys, the players who are in the middle of this conversation internationally, but of course, most importantly here in our country, being criticized and being told you're not really in these communities anymore, or you have privilege, you're just being criticized from every angle, that your message is not needed or necessary or real, or it's liberal propaganda or whatever. Like, how are you guys all mentally dealing with having the burden of keeping the conversation going while also playing basketball?
It's definitely tough. It's mentally taxing. You got to think about a guy like LeBron James. He's really trying to play basketball, but then he's trying to use his platform for people to vote, to stop the social injustice. Like, it's a lot going on with these guys. Like, I was there. I understood. Like, it's tough. Like, we're really in a bubble, so we can't leave and do anything personally, but all we have is our voice on social media, or just to do our interviews to get the message out there. But people can say what they want. Like, it's been happening for a long time, man. Like, this has been happening a long time. It's just finally now coming to light. So we have to get the message out there. We grew up in these neighborhoods. Like, we know what it's like. You can say what you want now, but we still have family that's going through this. We still know people who's going through this. So it's still hitting us the same way if we were in the community still, because we are in the community. That's why we are trying to give back. You want to get out of the community so you can give back. So that's why all these guys are doing what they're doing. That's why all the guys were at the protests. Like, we have to get the message out. Like, we want these things to change. Like I have young kids, so I don't want them to still be talking about this 30 years from now. I don't want my kids to be going through this whole thing over, like social injustice. Like, we need change. No, we need change now. That's why it's not going to happen right away, but we got to use our voice for it to happen eventually.
Well, thank you so much for everything that you did in the bubble for that and keeping that conversation going. I hope you enjoyed being able to play basketball again. I know that was probably hard for you guys in quarantine not to be able to do what you do every day, but congratulations on the new baby. Enjoy being back with your family. And I hate asking you for a prediction, but, I'm leaning Clippers Bucks. Do you have a prediction?
Ooh. I like Clippers Bucks, but I don't know, man. Miami's tough.
Listen, Miami is my team. Okay. I loved it. I was losing my mind yesterday, but I try to be like a realistic fan. So I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be accused of being a fangirl, although I really don't care. But yeah, Miami might pull it off.
Yeah, I think Miami can get to the finals just because the way they play. Like, they're going to give the Bucks problems because they play D and they play together. Like, they're a real team. And if a team's going to beat the Bucks, I think Miami can beat the Bucks. So I think Miami has a chance to get to the finals. And then I like the Lakers, man. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. I like the Clippers too, but it's tough to go against the Lakers, man. Until somebody really stops LeBron, like, it's hard to say Lakers won't make it to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers make the finals. I just feel like the Clippers are deeper. And in the bubble, we've really seen depth is really almost more important than it is during a regular season situation because you obviously rely on your stars, but some of some of the stars been having some dud nights, and the bench has had to step up, or just injuries. Like Toronto's bench goes out and scores 100 points.
Yeah, I'm going one of the LA teams are going to get to the finals. That's tough. It's hard to choose one.
Right.
Because I like the Clippers a lot. Because their bench is great. I love Lou Will. Montrezl Harrell's my guy. And Trez, once he gets back to being Trez, then I'm thinking the Clippers really are going to be tough to beat. And Patrick Beverley's hurt, so
yeah,
they aren't 100%. So I think, that's tough. You're right. It's going to be that's a coin flip. It's hard to choose. It's a coin flip. And with the Clippers 100% healthy, definitely they can get to the final.
Well, it's going to be great basketball either way. Appreciate you so much for taking some time. Congratulations again on the baby. Enjoy your family and stay safe.
I appreciate it. Thanks.